hear you're ready for your dose of reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dr. Quack Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. And you know what? This has been a long week for the Dr. Quack Podcast. Monday, we had to review that god-awful WrestleMania 9 level potential pay-per-view, Fastlane 2021. Tuesday, we put out Tori Wilson. Wednesday, we had a very good interview with Christopher Barry D. And now we get to do something and kind of enjoy a little bit, review WrestleMania 14, hoping our Zoloft prescriptions make it here for our Sunday where we have to actually watch Fastlane.
That's right. Yeah, WrestleMania 14. I'm telling you, it was one of the best pay-per-views. Like we said before in WrestleMania 10, we decided to fast forward a little bit. Because, let me give you a little recap. You had the Next Generation era, which, you know, a lot of people compare it to today's era because it's lackluster and it wasn't that big. We're all waiting on the boom to come up for professional wrestling.
Mabel was pretty big.
He was big, but he was not that big.
Not talented big, just big.
Yeah, I mean, you had WrestleManias where you had Lawrence Taylor out there taking on Bam Bam. And you had
in the main event.
Yes. And you had Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Yeah, we already went over him in the last video. But, you know, we're going to move on to what I consider a really good pay-per-view here. And
very solid. Very solid. Before we even go into the review, both of us, we talked about this a little bit in our pre-production. There are no one-star matches in our entire review from either one of us for this pay-per-view. So, yes. Good job, World Wrestling Entertainment, World Wrestling Federation, for giving us a high-quality match during the Monday Night Wars and the feud with WCW. This was a great pay-per-view. After our review, please go check it out and watch it and see if you agree that this is one of the better pay-per-views around.
That's right. That's why I got the shirt, baby. Yeah, if you're going to wear one, you wear one of the best. Because this came to us from Boston Garden in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah, we got what is a very good team that were together many years calling matches both on Monday nights, Thursday nights when it was SmackDown was originally on Thursday. Pay-per-views, we get the King and Jim Ross. And since Gorilla and Jesse no longer cover pay-per-views, this is the best team there is. And I think the two of them if the two of those were against each other, it's a coin flip on who's better.
Yeah, it was definitely grade A. It was at, like you said, the height of the Attitude Era where professional wrestling was extremely popular, not just with wrestling fans, but with casual fans as well.
Yes.
And, the show was sponsored by M&M's. I had to throw that out there. But anyways, first match here, 15-team Battle Royal.
Yeah, the Tag Team Battle Royal, and what they put over was the winning team of this got a pay-per-view, the next pay-per-view, which was Unforgiven, they got a tag team title shot. So they really put that over right from the get-go, and it was good to see the Legion of Doom back on World Wrestling Federation television, but this is not going to get sprayed. It should, but there is worse. Sunny in her faux flame outfit, the Legion of Doom wearing motorcycle helmets. Jimmy Hart couldn't do it. You guys can't do it either. I'm sorry. I know you both have passed away, but the motorcycle helmets and Hawk wearing shorts, not a good look for the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, and this was Sunny when she was in her prime looking good, not on her Pornhub video. Don't worry, we're not reviewing that.
No. Stay away from that stuff.
Yeah, let me give you the 15 teams that were in the Battle Royal here. Nation of Domination had Farouk and Khan Mustafa. We had the Godwins.
They also had D'Lo and Mark Henry. So the Nation had 2 teams in this one.
Yeah, Nation had 2 teams. The Godwins were in this. The Midnight Express. No, not the original. The new Midnight Express.
Bart Gunn and Bob Holly.
That's right. LOD 2000, like we said. The Headbangers. The Rock and Roll Express. The DOA had Skull and 8 Ball, and they had Bradshaw and Chains. The Quebecers. Yes, all right. The Mountie makes it back again.
Yes, 2 teams from Los Boricuas. They changed members so often. We didn't actually write down who these were. We apologize to you. But there were 4 members of Los Boricuas, and they had like 40 members off and on throughout the career.
Yeah, we just called it Savio Vega's crew. Sniper and Recon were in this. Steve Blackman and Flash Funk, an odd pairing. And Too Cool, Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor.
Yeah, he wasn't Grandmaster Sexay. For those of you that didn't know, you're going to hear when you watch this pay-per-view, Jerry Lawler cheering out to Brian Christopher, telling Brian Christopher he's trying to put him over. In real life, Brian Christopher was Jerry Lawler's son.
Yes.
So part of his change to Grandmaster Sexay was to hide that. But it was good to see Jerry Lawler trying to help his kid out. He was a talented man before he passed away, unfortunately, way too young. My only issue with this Tag Team Battle Royal, I have 2 issues. One, I don't like it, any Tag Team Battle Royal, where if one person's eliminated, they're both gone. I don't like that. I think they should both have to be eliminated because sometimes tag teams, they have to fight for a long time by themselves. And the other thing was there's way too many eliminations that happened too quickly. There was too much chaos in this one to see what happened up until the final 2. And so it was decent enough. This is my lowest ranked match at 2 stars, and it was still decent.
Yeah, I gave it 2.5. I thought that it was solid for what it was. Fans were excited to see this match.
That is very true. The fans loved this up until about the Cactus Jack match. This was one of their loudest matches where they were right off the get-go.
Yeah, I felt like it was a really good setting of the table. I mean, we've seen better, but we've seen a lot worse.
And that's true, too.
Yeah, and moving on here, LOD 2000, of course, they ended up winning this match. They did a little segment. See, they only had about 8 matches on this card, so they did a little stuff in between. They decided to do the Week to Wrestlemania segment where they were showing all the great stuff that was going on. Steve Austin was meeting with Regis Philbin, and Regis Philbin rubbing his head. And, you know, they had Shawn Michaels doing the DX workout where him and Tyson ended up kissing Austin on the head while he's roped in there. He's all tied in. And, you know, it was okay. Flash Funk, you know, he was getting an award as well. So, I mean, overall, it was a nice little segment. It went to it.
And this goes back to, again, one of the things we always mention, the difference between WWF and WCW, production value. For those of you guys that are looking to be independent promoters or run some wrestling school, wrestling shows, talent you need, yes, but you also need production value. You could have Hulk Hogan working Sergeant Slaughter, that great match from WrestleMania 7, but you put him in a darkly, dimly lit arena. You don't put good people announcing their matches. You put a substandard sound system. The match just isn't the same. Production value is almost as important as talent.
This is very true. Yeah, they had a VIP dinner also as well. Match number 2 here. This was really awesome. I liked it. A light heavyweight title match. You had Taka Michinoku taking on Aguila.
Yes, who became later known as S.A. Rios, who was the one that revealed, what is her name? The redhead. Lita. That's how Lita made her reveal, was with S.A. Rios a few years later. But he's doing his mask gimmick as Aguila here against Taka Michinoku, who is a very, very talented. I even liked his stuff in Kai and Tai and the now insensitive. he can't talk, and they've got someone saying his lines for him, was still very, very entertaining.
Funaki.
Taka actually and Funaki both said they really enjoyed the segments and suggested them. So for those of you that don't like those segments, they liked it.
Yeah, they enjoyed it. I thought this was a great match. If you're going to put on a nice cruiserweight match from the WWE era, this is probably one of the best ones. I gave this 2 3/4 stars.
That is what I gave it as well. My one knock on this match, to keep it from 3 stars, like most cruiserweight matches, it was a little spot heavy, where they'd lay down for a few seconds and all of a sudden got up like they hadn't been hurt and do the next spot, then they'd lay there for a few seconds. But you're right, the crowd was really, really hot, and the match was very solid, a very solid match, 2 3/4 stars.
Yeah, I mean, I love the sportsmanship at the end as well, where they're raising each other's hand. Like, they had actually a good sportsman-like match. It was very odd to see in the Attitude Era, but very good to see.
Yes, and it was matches like that that started the Ring of Honor that started right around this time, where everybody would shake hands. There's nothing wrong with showing a little support to your opponent. You are working together after all.
Yeah, and then we moved on to The Rock getting interviewed by Jennifer Flowers. She was asking him...
No, not yet. Not yet.
I feel the claw coming.
Not yet.
No, God. Yeah, asking him if he was, what it would be like if he was leader of the free world. And he, of course, said he wasn't a leader. He would be the ruler. He was doing classic heel Rock. I mean, I love the interview segment. It was kind of funny. It fit what The Rock was doing. You? Yeah. Go ahead. All right.
I'm gonna leave the Jennifer Flowers alone. She's been enough of embarrassment to herself throughout the years. I'm not going to belabor her any longer.
All right. Yeah, I mean, match 3 here. We had Chris Moore band actually playing the entrance for our European title match. Triple H with Chyna against Owen Hart. And Chyna was handcuffed to Sergeant Slaughter during this match.
Yes, and they did. The WWE did a great job, but they seem to have forgotten over the years. The opening segment to give you the backstory of the match was all of 50 seconds long. It was, we saw that Owen Hart got hit in the leg, and then we saw that he was wearing a boot and got attacked. That's all we needed to know about why his ankle was hurt. We didn't need a 5-minute long promo fest. We didn't need to see all of that stuff. The story was told in 50 seconds. WWE, you need to learn to do that again. You need to quit making these 3.5-hour long pay-per-views with 5 matches and another hour-long cutting of promos to hype up the backstory of the match. Stop it. Again, stop it.
Yes. It was a very good match. You know, I loved it. I mean, especially the finish there. Because, you know, everybody's wondering how was Chyna going to get into this match here. And she was handcuffed to him, and she took powder out and threw it in Sergeant Slaughter's face. And then low blow Owen Hart.
Yes, and they did a really good job with this, with Sergeant Slaughter. She would get close, and Slaughter would pull her back. And she'd try and make her way close, and Slaughter would pull her back. And then finally she was able to help Shawn Michaels get out of the sharpshooter, or Triple H, excuse me, by putting his hands over the ropes. And then Slaughter's pulling her back. The only thing I didn't like, I went 3.5 stars. The only thing is the announce crew really did not cover how she got the powder. We had to actually rewind it back and figure out that what she was doing is with the hard cam on her back, she looked like she was going into her pants to pull out the powder to throw it in Sergeant Slaughter's face. But great match. Excellent storytelling, 3.5 stars, a great match.
Yeah, I mean, I went with you on that, 3.5, really good. I love the storytelling in this match. And then, yeah, we moved on here. We had Mark Marrow and Sable taking on Goldust, the artist formerly known as Goldust, and Luna Vachon.
All right, so before we get started, we are both not Sable fans. The former Rena Marrow, who's now known as Rena Marrow Lesnar. Sorry, Sable, you don't belong in wrestling. You never belonged in wrestling. You destroyed your ex-husband's career. You almost destroyed your current husband's career.
Do you have a second cam, producer? You didn't bring it?
Hold on. Here you go. For you as well. If you would like to give some...
Holy
God!
testicles!
You know,
It is so cathartic, isn't it?
it is. But God, the only thing that was real on her, well, everybody liked, wasn't real. Right there. Everything else, she was horrible.
Yeah, she was not a pretty woman. She was full of herself, and she did all. She suggested the pasties for the Tori Wilson review when you look back at the cold case. She's the one that suggested that. She's the one that suggested the barking angle. She did all these really sexual kind of storylines, suggested them all. And then when her and Vince were on the outs and Vince fired her, she sued Vince for $110 million claiming sexual harassment. Yes, by the way, it was thrown out.
Yeah, which it should have been.
She was a blight on wrestling. She should never have belonged. In fact, we talked about this. If Johnny B. Bad were to have come into the WWF instead of Marvelous Mark Marrow, I think Goldust and Johnny B. Bad would have been a very solid tag team.
Yeah, I think they would have. I think he would have had a better career. This match was not horrible. It was all right. I gave it 2.5. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because Sable actually delivered a better TKO than Mark Marrow in this match.
Yeah, I went 2.5 stars with you. This match really felt like they didn't have a lot of chemistry. There was a lot of botches. Goldust really just looked like he was going through the motions. He wasn't running really hard. His punches were not crisp. His moves were not crisp. He wasn't jumping to help out with the moves. Luna, I felt, had more chemistry and more investment in this match than Goldust did. But it was a passable match. It got over the point that Vince was trying to put over at the time, that Mark Marrow was not as marketable as Sable, so 2.5 stars, because even though Vince learned that was a big mistake, he did accomplish what he was looking to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty solid match. It helped move things along. Because then you had Tennessee Lee, also known as Colonel Robert Parker, introducing Jeff Jarrett, who was escorted by Jennifer Flowers.
So Tennessee Lee, leave it in the comments. Would you like to know about Tennessee Lee, a.k.a. Colonel Robert Parker? We both have talked about we wouldn't mind doing a show on that in the future of who he is and what... a great guy, what he was for wrestling, and the importance of him in wrestling. And Jeff Jarrett's not a singer. They did the With My Baby Tonight thing and moved on from that. Jennifer Flowers actually was a real singer, by the way. That was her contribution besides things she did in the Arkansas governor's mansion. But the segment wasn't horrible. It was short. It put over that Jeff Jarrett was somebody to be reckoned with. So all in all, I'm not going to rate it. I'm just going to say it did what it needed to do.
Ain't I great? Yeah, that's what Jeff Jarrett would always say there. Anyways, it led to our Intercontinental title match here. The Rock taking on Ken Shamrock.
I really, really enjoyed this match. The Rock, by the way, was still a member of the Nation of Domination. He wasn't the leader yet. That was starting to really become evident as what happened in this match. Ken Shamrock was probably one of the better crossover from MMA guys as far as workers in the ring. He was C+, B- talent. He was decent. He was not horrible. He wasn't outstanding. He was good. That would be the way to put it. He was good. And The Rock was starting to really come of his own to become the people's champion that everybody knows and loves. This was a really strong match, 3 1/4, and the ending on this is something I wish they would do a little bit more, the reverse decision.
Yeah, I mean, Shamrock had him dead to rights, had him with a tap out there. You know, and then he just kept going. He beat up every Nation of Domination member. He beat up referees. He beat up suits. Even Jim Ross didn't know the one suit getting beat. He just called him a suit.
Yeah, and then so they had the reversal of the decision. He had won the IC title, and then the referee said that he reversed the decision because he wouldn't break the hold. Come on, director, leave us alone.
Yeah, we're trying to get this done here. Yeah, this was a great match. I gave this 3 stars.
I went 3 1/4. One of the few times I rated it higher than you. The Rock did a great job of bumping for Shamrock, putting over how crazy he was. All in all, again, a really good match. And another thing, WWF, start bringing back the occasional reverse decision. They made a lot of money in their next match down the road. You can do that by having the crowd want to see it happen again.
Yeah, I mean, it was truly one of the great ones to watch here. Then they had the Attitude Era commercials, and this is what they were trying to separate. That hey, they were no longer the cartoon wrestling, the gimmick, occupational gimmick wrestling. These were real people. These were real athletes, and they did a great job displaying that.
And they also did a good job of it. This was before they started adding in the tagline at the end, "Kids, don't try this at home." They hadn't added that yet.
Yeah, it was coming.
It was coming, but what they did is a good job of putting over how much these guys got hurt in real life, trying to encourage people, the average person, don't do this, because that was a big problem in the 80s and early 90s. A lot of people got hurt thinking they knew how wrestling really works.
That's right. Yeah, and this was also the highest grossing event ever in the Boston Garden.
Yeah, the first $1 million plus event in the Boston Garden. So again, this is how hot wrestling was in the 90s, that they did something that the Boston Celtics couldn't do. Scored $1 million gross.
Yeah, I mean, this was really incredible. End up going on here to the tag team titles being defended in a dumpster match. Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie taking on the New Age Outlaws.
This match, I'm sorry to say, it was kind of a dumpster fire. It was a good match. It didn't fit the theme of the entire show. This match was kind of the sore thumb of the show, but it was a good match. We saw Chainsaw Charlie, or Terry Funk, and Mick Foley, and doing Cactus Jack at this time, taking on the New Age Outlaws. They were not members of DX yet. The Road Dogg still hadn't learned the whole catchphrase. He did the, "You damn right! The New Age Outlaws, the Road Dogg Jesse James, and the badass Billy Gunn." You could tell they hadn't mastered it yet. Cactus and Chainsaw won, but shenanigans the next night. They had the titles taken back because they put them in the wrong dumpster. So while all in all the match was decent, 2 3/4 stars, it really was the sore thumb of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it 3 stars because of the simple carnage and basically the bump that Cactus Jack there and Billy Gunn took into the dumpsters, and then Terry Funk taking his power bomb in the dumpster. That really sold it for me. I loved it. The backstage fighting with Cactus Jack, swinging chairs and everything. It sold it. It was like, this is pure carnage and what it should have been.
Like I said, I agree that the match was a good match and it was a solid match. I just felt all the rest of this show was more about the entertainment value, the theatrics. This was less about the theatrics and the entertainment and more about getting a brass knucks, hard fight. And it felt a little off with the way the rest of this show was written. But again, I'm not discrediting the match. I just felt it didn't fit in with the theme of this show.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because they had the side door on the dumpster and they're like, they can't get out! They can't get out! Because they got it all blocked on top. Like, anybody could open that. The chain's sitting there dangling. Everybody saw that. But anyways, move on here. Pete Rose makes an appearance here at WrestleMania. Yes!
Chuck Norris approves. Thank God Pete Rose takes tombstone pile drivers and sells it properly.
Yes, and he deserved it for all the stuff he was saying about the Bostonians over there.
Oh, yeah.
He was trashing them hard. Bill Buckner and every other insult. The city of losers, he said. Kane came out and tombstoned him good.
Oh, yeah. And this led to things that happened down the road. Pete Rose dressed up as a San Diego chicken got tombstone. And it's obvious when you watch that Pete Rose was inducted into the Hall of Fame by Kane that they had a good, friendly working relationship and they really cared about each other and putting over the storyline and angle that they were doing. This was great, and Pete Rose, good. If you would never have been a baseball player, you might have been a manager.
That's right. I really loved what he did there. This led to the match here, one of the matches of the night, I'll tell you. Undertaker and Kane for the first time meeting. Brother,
Paul Bearer's real name. He had his normal brown hair. He was still doing the Undertaker voice, but he was not looking the pasty with the marks underneath his eyes. He looked more of his normal kayfabe self.
Yeah, I mean, this was all set up by Hell in a Cell when he was introduced to his brother. I mean, Paul Bearer was calling him a murderer, and Undertaker didn't believe that he was alive. And it was just great seeing this. He wouldn't fight his brother for a long time, but then...
Yep, and they really put that over in the pre-package, and then the Undertaker bringing out the Druids to the music of O Fortuna, coming out there. The power entrance that the Undertaker had, the power entrance that Kane had. This match was a great match, although it was very, very sloppy. They hadn't developed their chemistry yet, but it was still a very good, very solid storytelling match. The crowd was really into this match, 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I went 3.5. The Undertaker delivered 3 tombstones to him, to Kane, to put him out, and yet Kane still got up after the match and managed to tombstone The Undertaker. Yeah, that was the start of that huge fight and rivalry, which lasted for years before they became the Brothers of Destruction. But let me tell you, that was truly a classic there. But I'm going to move on to my Quack Attack!
Yes, and this was a great match, and I hope you don't forget, I hope you want, I want to hear those dulcet tones of the 2-finger salute, but we're in our last match, so yeah, I hope you didn't forget. I'm going to make sure you have one.
That's right.
Because you said you weren't. I'm going to make you do one. I found somebody to spray.
Well,
you better have someone to 2-finger salute.
Oh, we'll see what happens here. But anyway,
sorry, since I interfered, give the Quack Attack again.
No, Quack Attack! Yeah. Right before that, they had a vignette, though, about, the old wrestlers supporting the new, which was really awesome because these two guys represented this generation, the Attitude Era. We had Stone Cold Steve Austin against the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, WWF title with the world's most dangerous man, Mike Tyson.
The baddest man on the planet.
There it is. Baddest man on the planet, a world's most dangerous man. That was Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, but the vignette they did before with Classy Freddie Blassie, Gorilla Monsoon, the Big Cat Ernie Ladd, and the recently passed away Pat Patterson, they did a great thing about, we paved the way, now we sit back and watch what they do with what we gave them. That was an excellent, excellent vignette of passing the torch to this generation now that became known as the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I mean, this match here was one of the best main events in history, in my opinion. I mean, it was such a transition because it was like Shawn Michaels was next generation, but yet he was kind of the leader of the clique. And, that also brought problems backstage for The Undertaker.
Yes, it did. And what we're talking about here is if you go through the history of Shawn Michaels and title belts, when it came time for him to lose a belt, he didn't do it laying on his back, which, kayfabe word of the day, laying on your back means you got pinned or submitted to lose the title. That's the honorable way to go out. Unless there's something totally out of your control, you want to lay on your back and do the honors. Kayfabe word of the day, laying on your back.
Yeah, he didn't lose his smile here, so very good, Shawn. I'm very happy for that.
Yes.
This match was grade A.
Yes, and going back to what he said about The Undertaker, the match with Kane and The Undertaker should not have been a semi-main event match. It was a big storyline. It shouldn't have been here, but The Undertaker moved into what's called the gorilla position, which I don't want to do another kayfabe word of the day. The gorilla position is that last chair right next to the curtain. It was named for Gorilla Monsoon, who used to sit there and watch all the matches to make sure people went out on time. If people were screwing up or were doing things in the crowd, he could get people out there. So Shawn Michaels went out to the ring, and The Undertaker sat in the gorilla position to make sure Shawn Michaels didn't do something like take a count out or get himself disqualified and change the way the match worked, because he told Shawn Michaels, I will beat you up if you screw up this match. And he didn't.
He did. This looked very well. This, to me, is a 4.5-star match. This was, like I said, one of the greatest matches. I love the finish where Austin went in for a stunner, it got blocked. Michaels went in for a super kick, it got blocked. Austin hit that stunner. And then Mike Tyson counted the 3.
Yeah, this was as close to perfection booking as you could. I also went 4.5 stars. This is one I couldn't give 5 because Shawn Michaels' back in real life was messed up. This was like his last match for 4 years. So while he hurt a lot of other people by losing his smile, he was sick, couldn't defend the title. I just got other things to do. Got beat up by Marines. This one, he could have taken and said, you know what, my body can't handle it. But he had ruined that good reputation that he had, so now he had to go out there and perform. You could tell he was hurt. That was the only knock I had on this matchup. There were a couple things he couldn't do to his full caliber. You're right, 4.5 stars.
Yeah, this was truly top-notch right here. And that was our show on WrestleMania 14. But you know what? I forgot something, didn't I?
You got to come up with a 2-finger salute, or you're getting worse.
Oh, because I got it here. Let me tell you, this is my 2-finger salute right here. And it goes to WrestleMania 11, 12, and 13. Because you guys dropped the ball, in my opinion. You guys took wrestling where it was starting to go up and slowly took it down. Thank God for WrestleMania 14 for bringing it back to normalcy, bringing back the popularity, and keeping the casual fan excited and wanting to watch. They even mentioned this WrestleMania during my graduation year because people were excited about, was it WCW or was it WWF? That's how important it mattered.
Yeah, the year-long reign of Kevin Nash as Diesel, those were some of the lowest buy rates in WWF history prior to 2019. WWF a couple times almost went bankrupt because of how god-awful Kevin Nash was as the champion. You're right. That is a very, very appropriate 2-finger salute. I will thank God I didn't have to spray you because I know you dock my check every time I do that.
That I do.
So, thank God we had a good 2-finger salute.
But, get ready to move on to this one here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Trust me, we're done with the bad ones here as far as WrestleMania goes. We're going on the road to WrestleMania here for the remainders for some good ones here. And this one here had so much value in it that it can't be explained. It's only got to be seen. And that's what we're going to review here next week.
Give it up for that. That's a good call. Director, I know you buzzed us. You can be forgiven now because that was excellent.
Yes. So make sure you tune in for that. Make sure you tune in for all the shows that are coming up here next week as well. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. As we covered in the beginning, we had a lot of shows going on this week. Make sure you go back and you click on those. You check them out if you missed them. Like, share, subscribe. You only make us stronger by like, share, subscribe, and help us out to help you out.
Put a rush on that Zoloft because we got to review Fastlane.
Oh.
And I'm out.